Welcome to the Forager Podcast, where I talk with cottage food entrepreneurs about their strategies for running a food business from home. I'm David Crable, and today I'm talking with Tyler and Angie Worthey. But first, ConvertKit recently made a pretty big announcement that is great news for cottage food entrepreneurs. If you've listened to the show for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of using ConvertKit to build an email marketing list. ConvertKit has always had a great free tier for their platform, but now it is even better. Now you can use ConvertKit for free for up to 10,000 email subscribers, plus they will allow you to use one automation sequence for free as well. Now, if that doesn't mean much to you right now, trust me when I say that it is by far the best free email marketing option that I have ever seen. So if you still haven't hopped on the email marketing bandwagon, now is a great time to do so. To get started and learn more, you can watch my free email marketing tutorial at forger.com/email. All right, so I have Tyler and Angie Worthey on the show today. They live in Neoga, Illinois, and sell hot sauces and other spicy foods with their cottage food business, Worthey Peppers. This is definitely one of the most unique cottage food stories I have ever come across, and Tyler is easily one of the most exceptional teenagers I have ever spoken with. Although Angie and Tyler now operate the business as a mother and son team, this truly is Tyler's business that he started as a freshman in high school and has consistently grown it over the past 4 years. And I must say, this is the very first truly successful cottage food business I have ever seen that was built by a teenager. It's an amazing story, and you will love it. So with that, let's jump right in. Welcome to the show, Tyler and Angie. Nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting us out.
I'll start with you, Tyler. Can you take me back to the beginning of this journey? How did it get started?
Yeah, so I'm in a small rural town. We've got about 1,200 people here, and we are built on agriculture. Being in agriculture and in a small town, we were automatically enrolled into the FFA. So my freshman year of high school, we were asked to start a supervised agricultural experience, what's called an SAE. So I decided to start a processing SAE. Entrepreneurship side, because I've always been an entrepreneurial type of sorts. I remember being a kid and cutting out paper figures of video game characters and selling them to kids in my class, going around my aunt and uncle's reception and selling Hershey's Kisses to a bunch of guys, and they were just like, yeah, we'll buy it from you. And I've always kind of been on a passion for money of sorts, but now I've found a passion for peppers, dare I say. I've always been a plain guy. I never liked spicy foods, and now I make condiments, spicy condiments at that. So it's been a bit of a 180 compared to kind of the rest of my life, and I never thought I would be in the situation that I am now. When I first started, I was making hot sauces in home and just going off of random recipes that I had created off the top of my head or found inspiration from and bringing them into class. This was during the pandemic, and during lunch, walking around with a lunchbox full of hot sauce and saltine crackers and having kids and teachers try it, and with the super hots kind of torturing people just in class and getting away with it because they didn't care. None of the teachers did, and I was like, I'll see how far I can go with this. And eventually I had some sauces that people loved and enjoyed, so I started to produce a little bit more, and I was just like, well, how do I do this legally? So that's whenever I formed my cottage food business about 2.5 years ago now. So I've been a certified food protection manager for about 2.5 years and have officially owned and operated my proprietorship, Worthey Peppers.
Well, that's really interesting that you didn't even like spicy food when you started this journey. So what do you think carried you into it?
So when I first started, I was kind of hyperfixated on the show Hot Ones. I was watching Sean Evans a lot, and I learned that he was from the Illinois area. I was just like, well, if he can do what he's doing, then another guy from Illinois can do it as well. So at some point, I just decided, well, I'll see if I can sell it. So that's kind of when it turned from a bit of a hyperfixation project into I'll keep records on this. A part of my SAE was keeping records on everything I was doing. Starting on the processing side and keeping a sales book additionally, I kept records on everything that I did, including the total amount that I produced, how long it took me to do it, all the ingredients that I used. And eventually, my sophomore year, I took the records that I had for my processing side and competed with them. I ended up winning section, district, and then placing second at state for my first ever year as a sophomore. That was like the biggest thing that kind of inspired me to keep going. I was just like, well, if I can do it this far with just this, I'll see how far I can take it. So my junior year, I competed again with my processing books with an additional year of products and production on my side. And I ended up winning section, one district, and I won state this time around and placed silver nationally. So within roughly the top 15 processing projects in the country that year. And then this last year, I went and competed for my senior year with my ag sales entrepreneurship book. And I won section, one district, and a very surprising win for me, I won state because I had thought I had much better competition than I was up against, but apparently I had a pretty good book.
Yes, I did see that. I mean, that's really fascinating. And then you have nationals coming up, right?
Yes, nationals are coming up pretty soon. I don't know how well I'll do because I'm going to go into a little bit of logistics about it. They had stated that since it's on the sauce side, it's more considered culinary and more processing than it is sales. But to be 100% honest, I'm not super worried about it. I have 2 state titles under my belt, so I'm happy enough with that.
Now, just considering that you've won state twice in 2 separate categories, you won it once in the ag processing in your junior year, you came back a year later and won state level again in your senior year under ag sales. Do a lot of kids win state twice in different categories? Is this like an exceptionally rare thing?
It's rather rare by my understanding. I am the first in Neoga's history at Neoga High School to have a double state proficiency under my belt. This was also the same year that we had one of our girls win nationally as well, so we've been kind of making records in the FFA. We had a new teacher come in recently in the last 5 years. He has completely reshaped our ag department in our FFA. Mr. Carmen is his name, and he's done fantastic for us. He's kind of a reason that I kept all my record books because he's very competitive in some areas. So he was just like, you got good books. You got to compete with them because I know you can. You have that potential too. So I kept more records on everything and I did as best as I could while I was in my project to compete as well as I could with it. So he was one of the biggest supports besides like my parents and some friends and family.
Now, you said you've always had this entrepreneurial bug in you since you were a little kid. Is there any background in your family of that, of entrepreneurship? Where did it come from?
So I'm going to let Mom take the reins on this a little bit.
Hi, I'm Mom. I'm Angie. So I would come from a farming background, and my parents actually farmed in the late 70s, early 80s. With that, my father was an electrician, so he opened up a electrical company. And so there's always been some type of entrepreneurship within the family blood. I'm also a licensed cosmetologist. So I also have my own business of a Worthey salon. So I think it was pretty natural for Tyler to pick up the entrepreneurship bug. I knew he was going to do it from my sister's wedding to selling duct tape figures and items. So when he found the FFA SSE project, he really fully blossomed and could see taking ownership of it and was super excited for what he was creating, and people loved it. So that just increased his drive even more.
All right, so definitely it is in the family. And is entrepreneurship something that you have tried to cultivate in your kids?
Not necessarily cultivated. I think they've seen the opportunities that's available, and he was really able to follow his own passion. So I think that's really made an impact on him. So he's just really be able to be who he was, didn't have to fall into the sportsy kid or the nerdy kid. He could just got to be himself. And it was really awesome to see him take a part of this and be able to really just hone in on it, and his confidence just build and build. And that was a great thing to see as a parent.
Well, Tyler, I mean, one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is just how skilled of a speaker you are. And I was wondering if that's part of these competitions as well. Is that part of the reason why you've been so successful at participating in the FFA competitions?
It is a factor in the overall score. It is not the main factor. The main factor is the record books that we keep. But I don't know. I've just developed it over the last couple of years. I mean, I find it interesting in the way that I didn't like condiments and I didn't like spicy. I was very introverted when I was a kid. At least that's how I remember it from my lens from being much younger, is that I kept to myself a lot and I didn't go too far out. I just developed it from the ground up, and finding what I was passionate about and talking to people who were also passionate about what I enjoyed. So when I'm at farmers markets and I'm at fairs and festivals and I'm selling to people that are like, oh, I like spicy. And I'm like, okay, we can talk for a bit. And there's times that we'll have people at our booths that are just like, I want to buy something, but we're just talking. And I'm like, I know, that's just the fun part about it. I just kind of, when I'm passionate about something, I found just a little bit of a drive to speak for it, dare I say.
So clearly a very unique starting point here. You started it in your freshman year of high school, and it was just an ag project at that point, right? Like, can you take me through sort of the trajectory of how this turned into a business?
Yeah, so during my freshman year was the beginnings of it. I had my first ideas began in the first semester, and by second semester, I was making hot sauce. I mean, I remember going out to Walmart and buying just some basic ingredients, and I was taking a less traditional route. So more traditional sauces use a vinegar base of like vinegar, peppers, and seasonings to give it that flavor, and are usually fermented. I went for an unfermented path with some fruit-based sauces. What I first started out with was, well, I called it sweet heat. It was a grilled pineapple and serrano sauce where it just had such an amazing sweet flavor. And I've never liked the taste of vinegar, so I used citric acid to acidify it instead. It brought it to shelf-stable levels to where I was able to keep it and sell it. And I learned a lot in those first few months because I had bottles fermenting in people's lockers when I first started out. There's a reason I didn't start out, fully legal in the beginning. The first recipes I didn't have down at all, and I didn't understand the food science of bacteria and growth. But now that we're producing at such a high level, it's pasteurization and acidification is one of the biggest things that we hit on. But that's why I called it my underground hot sauce market. Just starting out and forcing kids to try it, forcing teachers to try it, and then they buy it. I didn't make too many frequent sales, but it started the beginning of it. It was the foundation for the business.
And were you asking your parents at all, like, for advice during this period of time of like how you could sell it better, how you could market it better? Was there much mentorship coming from them?
At that time, it really wasn't about sales. It was about him producing and finding good products that he liked and wanted to sell.
And I saw somewhere that you also were selling fresh peppers at some point. When did that come into play?
So that came in last year. Last year, I decided to start growing peppers because I was like, I want to go as far as I can with this. And it was partially for sales. I wanted to keep them for sales and sell them fresh. But we don't have much of a market for spicy food around here. So selling fresh peppers was kind of difficult, especially when you're trying to learn how to make a profit off of fresh produce and you only have 100 or so plants. I say only, but we've went through a majority of the peppers that we grew last year. And I've got 100 plants out in the garden right now this year, but I want to expand my horizons past just sauces and whatnot, because I think here soon in these next couple of days, we'll be making some seasonings and rubs. Granted, this is mid-July, so whenever this will come out, I guarantee you we'll have those out. But just expanding past the basic condiment horizon, I think, is where we wanted to take this business.
So you were selling hot sauces, very limited, but you were doing sales in your freshman year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I saw on social media at least, it looked like there's kind of like a 2-year gap between posts. Did you take a break from the business for a while and then come back to it, or were you progressing the business over the course of your whole high school experience?
So I was progressing it over the course of the high school. I took a very big break from social media because I didn't understand it as a whole. I didn't know how to market on social media. I didn't know how to gain an audience. So it started out as posting a couple plant updates of what I was growing in my closet my first year, and those didn't really turn out at all for anything. Posted when I first began, but at some point I just kept it in school. I kept all of my products in school, and I didn't try to do a whole lot because I wanted to become a full cottage food business before I started beginning to post. And I don't think I advertised some of the first events that we went to. They were just smaller events, but I think Suey Fest here in Neoga was one of the first that I started advertising for. And that's whenever I started posting once or twice a month. And eventually now I try to post at least twice, 3 times a week, just to keep that audience engagement up, as well as gaining new followers from events and whatnot.
One thing that I've heard from parents that, have kids who explore entrepreneurship is that oftentimes it's hard to keep them focused on one thing or one project for a very long time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you're in school, you've got lots of different opportunities. And I was curious, why did you stay focused on this one business throughout your high school experience when there's obviously a lot going on in school? What kept you focused on this one thing?
So it was my side hustle is what I considered it to a certain degree. I wasn't making a considerable amount of money on it, but it gave me confidence as a person because for a really long time I struggled with self-confidence and I struggled with my personal body image. But finding something that I truly enjoyed kind of gave me a passion to drive towards and what pushed me to better myself as a person, whether it's physically, mentally, or just in person to person. I'd argue that I've probably grown the last 2 years more than I ever have throughout my entire life. A lot has happened in the last 2-3 years, even outside of the business. I mean, it was something that I just kind of did on the side where I created hot sauce, brought it in, had people try it, had some people buy it occasionally. But especially in the last 1.5 2 years, I would argue it's really flourished. And it's whenever I kind of had mom help, especially with the business side, her being an entrepreneur of her own, she stepped in and showed me the reins more for the business and sales side in the future.
So when do you feel like it went from being a side hustle that you did sporadically to being something that, I can see now as it's a pretty consistent thing?
It's probably about 1.5 years ago now. Early 2023 is whenever I decided to really take the reins on it.
I argue that.
Earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you won sections.
Yeah.
The first time with proficiencies, you're like, oh, I got something here.
So it was probably about 2 years ago then, 2-3 years ago, whenever I won my state proficiency in processing, where I was like, I have something here. And if I wanted to compete the next year, I had to keep records up through, 2023? At December 31st, 2023 was the final end date that I could keep records till. So I would argue 2023 was probably our biggest year of not considering this year by any means, because this year's been a completely different story. It's very much become mom's third job and my main job outside of working at a local sports center. Getting a wider market range, going out to actual markets, going to fairs, festivals, and events, and finding a place to sell where people enjoyed our product.
And it was really great because when he started on the sales side of it, he really took initiation of that and initiated going in places and doing things. I really wanted him to be able to stand on his own on those things. And so from start to finish on those first few events was all him. And he really got to see the whole perspective of it. I was like, okay, I would like to do this, this, and this to make this better. And I'm like, okay, you're understanding now.
So Tyler, I think you had said that because you live in an ag community that being involved in the FFA is just kind of automatic. If you weren't part of this FFA program, do you think you would have a business right now? Do you think that was inevitable for you? Or do you think that you needed to have this environment through the FFA, SAE competitions to really get you to pursue a business seriously?
It's definitely the FFA that drove me towards it, because I was very big into music and video games whenever I was in junior high. I had no interest for agriculture. I was just my grandparents farmed. That's not in my blood. That's not who I am. Lo and behold, I farm now. I mean, I am a gardener. Like I said, I've got about 100 plants out there. The FFA has definitely invoked a lot of that in me in the area of processing and the area of farming, where if I wouldn't have taken Intro to Ag my freshman year, I would not be in the situation that I'm in right now. I would not be in this business, in this community that I'm in.
I'm just thinking you have over 100 pepper plants that you're growing. You're growing these peppers, you're processing them, you're marketing them, you're selling these different products. You're also in school. It sounds like you have another side job. You've got obviously your schoolwork and probably things that I'm not even privy to. So I'm just like, how do you keep this all afloat? Like, how do you make time for everything?
And I'm just going to interject. Not only was he in school, he was in National Honor Society. So this dude was keeping up, was close to 4.0 his whole high school career. So I give him big, huge props for that.
It's definitely been a bit of chaos trying to keep this boat afloat, dare I say. It's just been balancing a bunch of things all at once and learning how to schedule. I was working almost a full-time job, working close to 30, 40 hours a week at a local fast food place and doing as best as I could to still sell sauce and to keep my grades up. Everything's just kind of been in a state of chaos, but that's kind of what we are as a family. I mean, it's always been that way of seeing mom and dad occasionally throughout the day. Now that mom works at home, it's a different story, but I'll see dad maybe 2 hours out of the day because he'll be asleep, and then he'll wake up at 5 a.m, go to work, come back, and I'm just like, all right, I'm making sauce, so close the door, just shut your ears as much as you can, go back to bed. But chaos is kind of the best way to put it.
Now, Tyler, your mom had said that, your first few markets, like you were on your own, you were figuring this all out for yourself. And I was wondering, since you're a teenager, do you feel like that gave you an advantage in, like, say, people like see that you're young and passionate and driven, they want to support you? Or do you feel like there was a disadvantage there where people didn't take you as seriously because of your age?
It was definitely a mix. I think it was very much more so catered towards you're young and we want to support you. But there was people that were just like, meh, he's young, he's got young products, I don't think they're going to be that good.
The naysayers.
The naysayers or the people that are like, well, he's more successful than I am, so I don't want to support him. That was kind of a portion of my class, not to dog on them. But the people that came over and supported were like, you have amazing things. And I've had on multiple occasions people come up and say, you're going to go places, kid.
And then those naysayers, when you were able to really talk the talk with them and blow their minds with the information that you know about peppers, processing, sales, your business, taxes, your ROI, when they really understand that you have a glimpse or understanding and run this business, it kind of makes them go, oh, okay. I love that part.
Well, it's interesting because you said that you do not live in an area that likes spicy foods. So we would not expect this type of business to be successful. I'm just curious about how you found a market in an area that, you wouldn't naturally think there would be a market for these types of products.
So I think, like, as almost a ratio, I'd argue that about 30% of the people that come up and buy are there to support. They'll come and I give my spiel of, hey, I started this as an underground hot sauce market. I developed this off of my palate. We are flavor first when it comes to our products. We are not based off of the heat. We do love the heat for some certain products, but everything is flavor first. And having samples out for some people to try has very much engaged them as an audience. We have some people come up who are recurring customers because they've came over and they're like, we love your stuff. I mean, I was at a market once and there was a lady who came up and was just like, you have the carrot sauce. Thank God I've been out. And she just bought it and walked away. And I was just like, that, you know what? That's kind of an average interaction from time to time where it's just like, we have our regular customers who know what they want. We have people next to us at one of the markets. They sell flowers and they fell in love with our sizzling garlic honey, which is by far our best seller. It's very mild, but it's got an amazing flavor, which kind of keeps people coming back, where it's just like, we love this sauce. It's not super hot, but for example, I have a super hot sauce. For me to make a brand new version of the sizzling garlic, to make it hotter, I have to get a new recipe made, new recipe tested, and it's a bit of a climb of a mountain, dare I say, to have that recipe available for people. For example, for the more chili head oriented people that come over and buy hot sauce, I'm like, I have my super hot sauce, and I'll take a dab of it or so, and I take a little bit, splash it in my sizzling garlic honey, and mix it up, and it gives it that super hot flavor. So I initiate that creativity in people, where we have our spicy jelly and jams line that I started a little while back, and people are like, well, what do I put it on? Toast? And I'm like, toast, cream cheese and crackers, waffles. I mean, I use our jalapeno mango for chicken and waffles. That's my best way I can describe it. It's like a sweet and sour sauce, and it's so amazing. I use our smoked peach habanero and make a pancake taco, slather it on there and fold it up. You can be creative with the products. You don't have to be single-minded with them. And I think that's another thing that keeps customers engaged, is the creativeness of some of the products and what you can do with them.
I gotta say, I love adding the differences with the jams and jellies, because I'm like, I put the strawberry Fresno over top of my ice cream. And they're like, what? And I'm like, mm-hmm. So it's really being able to see people's eyes and just go, oh, I could use it in this recipe. And I'm like, yep. My sister takes our cranberry jalapeno and puts it over top her salmon and spices it when she smokes it. And their family loves it. We can't keep it in stock enough for them.
You had mentioned your extreme hot sauce. I think I saw that's got to be the Reaper's Revenge. I'm pretty sure. I was just curious, like on a Scoville scale, like where is that landing when we talk about heat units, or how spicy is this?
So here's a bit of a pepper nerd moment for you. Technically speaking, Scoville scale can apply to hot sauces, but when correctly applied, it doesn't give you a really good number to judge it off of. For example, I mean, your Carolina Reapers are going to come in around 2.2 to 2.4 million Scoville, but if you make a sauce with them, I had one of my Reaper's Revenge tested before, and it came back at 15,000 Scoville. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. And it's because it doesn't directly apply to it. But when you're comparing pain to flavor wise, it's probably in the 1/4 to 500,000 Scoville range. So its comparison, like when you're eating it, is probably close to a habanero. It's not inedible. It is still made flavor first, even though it is painful. That's the basis of all of our products. I mean, for it, I don't use extracts, and I haven't used any like add-ons to make it even hotter than before. I purely use what was fresh frozen super hot peppers, and I think this time around, whenever we make our next batch, it'll be a mix of fresh frozen as well as a variety of dried. We still want to make it edible for people. I've had people come up and be like, I want to not be able to eat this. And I'm like, well, you're still going to be able to eat this, but it's going to taste pretty good. And that's where we're at product-wise, is that, like I said, we are flavor forward. And I think Mom phrases it really well. We celebrate the flavor of the pepper. For our strawberry Fresno, it's a very mild jam. You don't get a lot of it, but whenever you get the heat, the little bit of tang from the Fresno pepper, you taste it. You taste it alongside the strawberry, and those two combine to make an amazing flavor, because a lot of peppers taste very fruity. Habaneros have a very tropical flavor to them. That's why you'll see a lot of mango habanero sauces. Dried Carolina Reapers smell like strawberries to me, and I just want to eat them, but I'm like, that's a mistake for both the intake and the output. That's not going to feel good. That's not going to be nice. But just to kind of rephrase that answer, it's going to be hot. I mean, it's that 1/4 to 500,000 range, but it's not edible. We make everything flavor first.
Now, do you sell anything that is non-spicy?
So everything has some bit of spice to it. I mean, we are based off of the Worthey Peppers. I mean, we have, for example, the sizzling garlic honey, the sweet fire, our strawberry Fresno are all very mild. They are not super hot by any means. I mean, to me, with my palate now, they aren't hot anymore to me. But to your average consumer around here, I think that's how we found our market. Like I said, we base flavor first, so these milder sauces have a little bit of that kick. But for someone who's looking for a really tasty, flavorful sauce, they will get that flavor first and foremost with the heat as an addition to it.
And we haven't actually talked about what you sell. And we know you sell hot sauces, but you have quite a variety of things you sell now. What's your menu at a market look like?
Currently, our lineup is hot sauce, barbecue sauce, spicy jellies and jams, as well as some spicy snacks and baked goods. To start off with our hot sauces, we have our sizzling garlic honey, which is our mild. And then we have our taco sauce, which is more of a traditional style of sauce. And then we have our 24 karat, which is more of a less traditional sauce. It's one of our best sellers, and it's one of the most unique ones that we have. Now, we also have the Reaper's Revenge, which is just a bunch of stupidly hot peppers combined together. It's very hot. We can move on to our barbecues next. We have our Sweet Fire, and the Hellfire is a additional version of the Sweet Fire to a certain degree. Hellfire uses ghost peppers instead of cayennes. And then we have our jellies and jams. We have our strawberry Fresno. I can let Mom do this because this is kind of her expertise now.
So the strawberry Fresno is really that like a strawberry jam for grandma made with the sweetness and a little bit of spiciness from that Fresno pepper. The next one we have is our jalapeno mango. Then we brought in our smoked peach habanero. Our peaches are smoked on the smoker with the habaneros. Then I love our ghostberry. It's a blueberry jelly with ghost peppers. It's got the sweet, but it's also got a lot of heat. But we also have some seasonal of our jams and jellies. One of our famous ones last year was Happle. It's a honey apple jam. So good. We have a spice pumpkin and a cranberry jalapeno. And then our last one was spice Christmas. So excited and looking forward to doing some more possible summer seasonal jams. Tropical heat wave might be making its way coming up, and another one soon too.
So we have our spicy snacks and our baked goods as well. These are our newest additions. So our spicy snacks consist of a snacks mix, which is kind of like a Chex Mix style of snack. One sweet, one savory, and then we have crackers as well, including our taco sauce crackers and then our sweet fire crackers. So one savory, one sweet. And then I'll let Mom do the baked goods.
So we have a cookie crumb. It's a shortbread cookie with the jam filling. So we'll have a different variety of each one of those with our different jams. And we have a swirl cookie. So it's a little bit of a texture of a cookie with, again, jam in the center. And then we have our muffins. So again, based off of all of our jams and jelly recipes, we have a strawberry shortcake. Then we have the citrus mango jalapeno muffin. We have our lemon ghostberry muffin. And then, of course, our smoked peach habanero muffin, which Tyler can't stay out of. He keeps doing quality control on it for me. And then our two new chocolate ones we have come out is a spicy no-bake cookie and then our double chocolate spicy cookie.
They are fantastic. Once we got her food manager's license, she took over in the jelly and jam realm. She was over just being a hawk on me, and she was just like, I know how to do this. And I'm like, you can't do this yet. She was watching me do that for a long time, and then eventually she took over once we got her food managers, and then she just kind of went crazy in the baked goods realm, and some of the creations have been amazing.
So what I'm hearing here is that there's a pretty clear division in terms of what you're responsible for. You each have kind of your own product lines. Am I reading that right?
I would argue they're kind of separated between the two of us, but we are very hands-on together. Whenever I'm making the sauce, I produce all of it, I blend it, and I have it ready to go, but she helps me in the realm of getting everything bottled and sealed, because that's kind of a two-man job. And whenever she's doing her jellies and jams, I'm there to help with the jars. I'm there to help cap and seal everything. But she kind of has the hands-on role when it comes to producing it now.
Now, Angie, I'm just curious, like, when did you decide, like, you wanted to get invested and wanted to get involved in this business and jump in and kind of form a team?
When I seen him up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get everything finished up and my kitchen's a wreck. So it was really about just helping him be more efficient in the process he was doing. So just being wise on his time and how to use it. And then just to see, my kid needed help. I got you.
I think one of the biggest aspects she helped, especially in the beginning of it, was she helped with a lot of events. After the first couple events I had tried myself, I was like, I can do this, but this is a struggle bus. So at some point I was like, hey, you want to come to an event with me? And she was just like, sure, I'm off this weekend. And now our weekends consist of going to events, waking up at 5 a.m, no matter how late we went to bed last night, getting up, forcing ourselves out of bed, and going to farmers markets bright and early in the morning.
For a full day of fun.
Yeah.
Now, I was a little curious about branding because I can look back and see what the branding was like back in your freshman year of high school, and it was a little bit different than it is today. Very strong brand and very professional packaging. I would say wholesale worthy, of course. I would definitely say these could be put on a shelf and stand their own easily. Was that something that you helped with, Angie? Was that all Tyler, or was that also a collaboration?
It was a total collaboration. I do have my bachelor's in marketing and sales. I've always had a love for marketing. So just giving him feedback on those different types of things. Hey, maybe try this color or try this layout. And it was great. When he got the professional version of Canva, I was so happy. So it's really been a lot of trial and error before we really decide on the design for anything. But since we got our branding down, it's really just making that for each product as it comes out. Like our spicy double chocolate, it's a chocolate frame with a chocolate chip in it. So I love how that we really, really been able to take the product label and a marking on it to know that that's that product.
It's almost like a universal label that we've created that fits really well for all of our products. They all merge together in a way that they're all independent, but you know that it's our product. Whenever you come to a farmer's market and you buy it, you can recognize that this is Worthey Peppers. This is who we are. I mean, when I first started out, I made custom labels in MS Paint that were very project-based. You could tell it was a kid's project. And it wasn't bad looking by any means. I was trying to have more of a creative outlook on it. But whenever we kind of unified everything and made it look much more professional, it very much stepped up our marketing game. I mean, our first couple of farmers markets, I had the original labels, and people were like, oh, these are cool. But as soon as we switched over to our more unified professional labels, we get frequent comments on the unification of the brand or just the professional overall look.
Now, do you feel like you were able to bump your pricing up? I'm just curious about how your pricing has changed over time and where you've landed there.
It's definitely changed a little bit, not by a significant amount, though. I originally think I sold my 5-ounce bottles for probably $8 a bottle. And then eventually I landed on $10 because I was like, that's a nice, flat, even number, and I don't have to count much change out for that. A lot of people carry 10s or 20s, and it's easy to break when it comes to cash, and it kept our ROIs pretty good. $10 has unified all of our ROIs when it comes down to our 5-ounce bottles. I mean, we're at least making about 200% ROI, so putting at the most $5 in each bottle when it comes down to our sauces. So, I mean, we make good money from it, but we think that it's a good enough price for our gourmet sauces. We refer to them as gourmet because they are small batch. We might not have the lower prices to compete with some other local sauces that like other people make cottage food, but we value our product at that level of we have poured our heart and soul into this. Here's where it's come from. We can tell you where the peppers came from. We can tell you so much about this sauce, and it kind of tells us about our company in a way. And we originally sold 2-ounce bottles, or I sold 2-ounce bottles of our sauces, and eventually I turned them to 1-ounce bottles. And eventually we landed on 1.7-ounce bottles. So we sell those individually for $5, which is a bit much per bottle, but it allows us to turn them into a trial pack that we had sold at a odd price for a little while. I mean, we kept it at $15, so it wasn't much of a deal. But here recently, we actually lowered our price for our trial packs down to $12. It makes it more of a deal to incentivize the buying of these as gifts. Being in a market with less spicy taste buds, we have found that a lot of older people in some of the markets we go to have grandkids or kids that like spicy, or There might be a girlfriend walking around or a fiance walking around. And it's like, oh, my significant other likes spicy foods, but I don't. And we're like, we have trial packs available. And they're like, that's a perfect Christmas gift, especially when it comes down to the holiday season, being able to buy these and they fit in stockings really well.
Now, do you feel like your business turned a corner when you started doing the markets?
Yes, significantly, yeah. I mean, I didn't make many sales going kind of door to door, locker to locker, I could say. A couple $100 here and there over a few months, but it wasn't much by any means. I was using my personal fundage or harassing mom and dad occasionally for money to go buy ingredients to make new sauces with. But once we started going to corners and once we started going to like makers festivals and to fairs, it changed directions completely and took a very uphill turn to the point where we couldn't really keep up with what we were doing. We had used Square for a while for credit card payments. And eventually we switched completely over to Shopify. So now we use that as an all-in-one. We use it it runs our website. So we run our website through Shopify. We have online sales restricted only to the state of Illinois since we are cottage food. Our POS system works through it as well. And everything is transacted through Shopify. That includes our inventory as well. So whether it's an online sale or an in-person sale, it goes back to the same inventory. And we can pull from that, update it, so we know what we have on hand, whether it is online or if it's in person.
And we've actually, really seen that the markets these days, a lot of people don't necessarily carry cash. A lot of people are doing digital forms of payment. So Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, all of those, we made sure to include that in there so that our customers can pay any way they would like.
Now, the Shopify website, also looking very professional and that kind of unified sale platform. Was that all you, Tyler? Or was that inspired by you, Angie? Like, how did that come about?
I would argue I do majority for Shopify. I took the reins on it, and like mom occasionally works on there. She's kind of worked with some of our stock keeping units and whatnot, more for inventory, just for our own purposes of record keeping. But when it comes down to the website, I do majority of that.
And I know people can order off the website if they're from Illinois. You also can ship to them if they're in Illinois. Do you get many sales that way?
It's not been too bad. I mean, we get occasional sales here and there, probably about 5 a month. I mean, it's very much lower compared to our in-person sales. Our in-person sales are our highest contributor right now. We've got them a little bit more when it came down to the holiday season when we weren't at places nearly as frequent. So in December and January, we had sales from time to time on there, but it wasn't nearly as much as our in-person.
Now, how about social media? I saw, you definitely at a certain point picked it up last year and are very active on it now. Who does that between the two of you, and what have you learned from trying to engage more through social media?
So I run majority of the social media right now. Mom does things on it occasionally. I have her take pictures for me, and we do some uploads here and there. But besides that, I do majority of it, whether it is making the posts on Canva for events, our weekly schedule of events, post reminders. I think the biggest thing of keeping people engaged is having frequent posts, having frequent differing posts as well, because one thing I did around the December, January area of last year is I had a bunch of pepper posts that highlighted the peppers that we used in the garden. But because it was very similar of a post back to back to back to back to back, we didn't get a lot of engagement on those. There was impressions, there was some engagement, but it was not nearly as much as our weekly event for a week, where people are like, okay, they'll be at X, Y, and Z for this week. I'm going to share this post because I know friends and family like their stuff. So it's very much showing and highlighting where we'll be at. Something we're going to actually do here soon is start highlighting our products and highlighting some recipes that we use them in and that we've had people use them in outside of what we do in cooking.
So Tyler, I mean, I can tell that you pretty much are hands-on with every aspect of the business. And I was curious, like, if your mom had not stepped in to help out with the business, where do you think it would be today?
I think I could be in a similar situation to where I began, or to where I was about a year ago now. I was going to farmers markets occasionally. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was chaotic. It was very much, I needed someone there to be accountable for me in a way where she kind of keeps me in shape when it comes down to making sure I'm on task at times where it's just like, I want to go relax, but it's like, you got 30 minutes left of stuff. Let's get this. And I'm an accountability for her as well. We very much work together because she's been very amazing working on the labels, making sure everything looks nice and uniform for all of our products, and getting inventory updated from time to time, and kind of being there just as my support. And I'm there as her support in the same way, but she's just very much been there as a standing stone for me to come on. And I think a way that we've described it, she was the flower blossom to my fruit, because she is one of the two parents who made me. So she is very vital in this. I mean, without her,
you would not be here.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I mean, even besides that, she's been amazing, just being there to help with making sure things get done, making sure everything is on time, make sure we leave on time, and just keeping me accountable at times.
Angie, what's your perspective?
I think he would have done great, even if I didn't help it, step in and help at all. I just think we got to the places that he would have got on his own sooner. I love routines. I love schedules. I love my plans. So that's how I've always done with all of our kids, is kept them on that routine. And when you have that sort of stability and you know what to expect next, people can be a lot more productive. So I just remind him of that, yes, I know you got games to play, but we got to get these labeled and done. And then you're done. You can go play as long as you want, but you're still getting up at 5 to leave in the morning.
Now, I can see your event schedule. Looks like you're pretty busy. Is it just you two? Do you have any help other than what you guys contribute?
It is just us, because even now, speaking as technically one of her employers, even as her son, I don't really pay her.
Just hugs and kisses.
It's hugs and kisses. I pay her in love, man. That's the way we do it right now, because we're just a small family business.
We do bring Dad in to carry the heavy loads every once in a while. Help stock the Jeep and unstock it back and forth.
6-hour event. Once we're done, we are pooped. So it's just like, help, please. we are ready for nap. So he's there helping us occasionally as well. But the brute force of it is definitely us two. We take majority of the responsibility when it comes down to this stuff.
Now, Tyler, you're at an interesting point. Obviously, you just graduated from high school. Where are you headed into the future? Are you going to college? Seems like you could just make this into a full-blown huge business if you wanted to. What are your plans?
So my current plans are to attend Eastern Illinois University. It is just about 30-40 minutes north of us. I'm close enough to home to where I can come home every weekend to make sauce and go to events, but I'm in a decently populated area to where I feel like on campus I can kind of have my hot sauce ring going again, where I have hot sauce available. I'll probably honestly have an order form set up on my door to where people can scan a QR code if they need sauce. Just kind of in that way of just like, hey, you need hot sauce? That's that kid. I've made friends with the head of honors already. So the dean of honors, Richard England there, had contacted me at one point. I had applied for the presidential scholarship for Eastern. And after the first round, we went through, I got accepted for the application, and then we had to go in for an interview. And after the interview, they're like, we'll let you know. I was unfortunately not picked the first round for presidentials, but they're like, you are on the upcoming list. So if anyone backs out, if anyone decides to change and not take the full ride from Eastern, we will let you know. After that first round had came out, I was like, fine, I'll send him some hot sauce. So I sent him a trial pack of everything that we had. And I was like, hope you enjoy. And he reached out and he's like, man, I enjoyed this thoroughly. Thank you for the hot sauce. And about a month later after that, I got an email saying that I was selected in the second round for presidentials. So I did not get my housing covered, but my tuition is fully covered at Eastern Illinois University, which is just amazing. So I'll only be, $40,000 in debt instead of $100,000 in debt. So I can't complain too much. But I'm very thankful for that opportunity in general. I'll be attending there for marketing and entrepreneurship are the two things I'm going for right now, being a major and a minor respectively. And eventually I'm tempted to continue for my master's in business administration and see how far this can take me.
And clearly it sounds like you have no plans to slow down during college with the business.
Yes.
He's already known as the pepper guy.
Yep.
I visit local high schools as an admissions advisor for secondary education. And I walk in and I'm telling who I am. And they're like, Worthey, are you the pepper guy's mom? Yep. Yep. Oh, I know that kid. He makes hot sauce. Really good stuff. I mean, we're talking at schools that are 40, 50 miles away, but they recognize the name through their FFA. It's pretty cool to see that, just a little town can make an impact even across other high schools that are miles away.
Now, as I mentioned before, your products are very much set up for wholesale. I think they could do very well on a shelf. Is that something that you've looked into and possibly, producing elsewhere to get into stores?
So it has definitely been something I've looked into. It's something that I haven't taken any initiative to yet, just because, well, I'm already going in debt to a college and I'm not trying to go more in debt to the federal government, dare I say. I just don't want to pull out a loan. I don't want to take too big of a step before I take my personal step of education. I'm excited for college. I'm excited to see where it brings me. And I love and enjoy what I do. But if I can keep it small scale, if I can keep producing in-home and make decent money while I'm at college, make consistent sales. The college town that I'm actually in is one of the markets that we frequent. So it's in Charleston, Illinois, and we are frequently at that farmer's market almost every weekend. And I plan to stay out there. And it's one of those things where I'll be running markets out there. I'll still have consistent sales. And if I can keep it cottage food and keep it small scale, then I think I'd like to do that. Whenever I go commercial, I want to be in a producing facility that I'm honestly tempted to own and operate myself. It's something that, following the entrepreneurial route, I have a passion for my products, and I want to ensure that these are my products that I am producing, not having someone secondhand make them, which is okay in a lot of cases. But for where we're at as a company, I like having my passion. I like having my soul in this. I imagine we'll hire some family and friends, and that's what it'll be. It'll be people that are close to us that have that passion. They have that soul for a product that they thoroughly enjoy and a company that they enjoy. I'm very excited to see where commercial production would bring us. And it's just a matter of time and patience for us to eventually go commercial. It's just not going to happen for a minute. I feel that. And I could be very wrong, and things may change very fast. But the current standpoint of where I'm at right now, I enjoy the small scale. I enjoy making it at the small level. It's very chaotic. It is managed chaos nonetheless, but it's something I take passion in. It's what we do as a family. It's a very crazy family, but Mom and I are very passionate about what we do.
And I'm very passionate about education. So I want him to have this experience and be able to take what he's learning in college and be able to apply that to his current circumstances. I think that's only going to be able to allow us to grow maybe at a slower pace, so that in the long realm, when we do get to commercial, it's going to be because we have our foundation done correctly, and it's going to last a long time.
Yeah, college is definitely a very busy time, and I definitely understand kind of maybe easing up a little bit and, keeping things going. Now, Angie, do you think that as Tyler heads into college that you'll have to step in a little bit more to keep the business going or to keep the events going? Is that something you plan on, or do you feel like you'll just kind of follow his lead?
I'm really going to follow his lead, but I do foresee us being able to continue to manage the same structure that we have now, even when he's at college and living at campus. Like you said, it's only 30 minutes away. And in our small community, if you want to go to a grocery store, you're going to drive 30 minutes. So it's good, it's a normal commute for our family of driving that kind of distance. And so we'll just have our schedules of when we're producing, what we're producing, and our next events. And I don't foresee it changing a lot unless miracles happen and somebody wants to give us a grant so we can go commercial sooner.
Tyler, as you think back, especially since the business turned upward after joining the markets, what do you feel like has been the most challenging thing as you've built the business?
I think staying monetarily stable, because from the ground up, I have been using a lot of my own personal fundage. When I first started out, I had a lot of help from mom and dad, to be 100% honest. I was like, hey, I want to start this stuff. So I had them help buy, especially I bought more planting equipment than I ever needed when I was first starting out, considering I did like practically nothing with the planting for about 2 years. But when I first started out, it was very much I needed help monetarily. So on the topic of that, I had reached out to a lot of these small businesses in my community. Our local liquor store is one of the biggest contributors. They had one of their customers and their store. I asked for donations. I didn't really ask for much investment. I was just like, hey, I'm starting out. This is a project. If you'd be willing to help, I'd really appreciate it. It's starting out buying machinery, especially. So when I first started out, we were using syringes and funnels to fill the bottles, which was a pain. We currently have a pneumatic bottling machine that is a manual bottling machine. We fill from the top down. We set it to however many milliliters we need, and we pump and you pull a lever and it fills the bottle. And it is one of the best things that we have. It has made our life so much easier. And having the community support and beginning with some financial support from them is what helped bring the business from the ground up. And over this last year, I actually received an SAE continuation grant, a $1,000 grant from Bob Evans through the FFA. So that has also helped significantly from where I was at.
I'm just thinking about people potentially who are listening to the podcast and teenagers specifically who maybe they don't have parents who are entrepreneurs, or maybe they're not in an FFA program. Do you have any advice for someone at your age who is trying to start a business?
Ask for support. Ask questions, whether it is monetarily, whether it is someone who's an expert in the field. Ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions and be curious. Stay curious. Never think you have the right answers figured out. Because even whenever we think like we've got something figured out here, whenever I think I have something perfectly figured out, is whenever mom turns around and goes, hey, I have a better way to do this. You will never have every single answer. And I have figured that out from the get-go, that you need to ask questions. You need to be willing to learn. And you just need to be open. And when you're doing something, do it with passion. Do something that you truly enjoy. I never thought I would be making hot sauce, but I found a passion in it. I found my passion for peppers, and now it's what I do and kind of who I am.
As you think back on your journey, are there any stories or memorable moments that have stood out to you?
Winning state twice. That has been one of the biggest things, where it's just like, as I've stated many times now, where it's just like, I didn't ever think I would be growing super hot peppers in my backyard, walking through there with a level of passion I never knew I had for anything besides playing video games, and just doing what I enjoy. It became one of my core memories, where it's just like, I think back and a lot of these things kind of blend together in a way, but in a way that I can look back with a lot of pride on what I've done, and with a lot of joyousness for how far I've come as a person and as a company.
Well, awesome. And I will just reiterate what that guy at the market said. I can tell you are going places, and it is going to be very cool to see where you go in the future. And I just think your journey is amazing and will be very inspirational to a lot of listeners. So thank you for coming on and sharing it with us. Now, if people would like to learn more about you, where can they find you, or how can they reach out?
So we are at wortheypeppers.com, WORTHEY. There's that E in there that a lot of people miss. Wortheypeppers.com. We have an Our Roots tab. It gives you a little bit of a backstory on how I got started on things, a couple of pictures from the first markets we went to. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Worthey Peppers, and they can contact us at wortheypeppers@gmail.com as our preferred method of contact.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
Wonderful. Thank you, David.
Have a great day.
That wraps up another episode of the Forger Podcast. For more information about this episode, go to forger.com/podcast/121. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please take a quick moment right now and leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. It doesn't have to be a long review, but it's truly the best way to support this show and will help others like you find this podcast. And finally, if you're thinking about selling your own homemade food, check out my free mini course where I walk you through the steps you need to take to get a cottage food business off the ground. To get the course, go to cottagefoodcourse.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.